Then, after empty threats and empty promises, the administration turned away from Syria again for another year. Until ISIS shocked the world by occupying large parts of Iraq and declaring a new state.
The buildup of ISIS in Iraq and Syria was incredibly predictable, Andrea. We reported about it. Reporters risked their lives going into Syria to talk about this buildup of extremists in the country, yet nothing seemed to have been done, and now we have a very serious situation.
All right, folks, welcome back, and of course, that referring to ISIS and the fact we learned today the president received daily briefings on ISIS for at least a year. And of course, the news, American hostage Steven Sotloff has reportedly been executed by jihadi terrorists, ISIS terrorists, and according to those who have claimed to have seen the video, the masked executioner has a message for President Obama and says, just as your missiles continue to strike our people, our knife will continue to strike the necks of your people. And this, of course, comes just weeks after reporter James Foley met the same fate. Joining us now is Dr. Ira Straus, Executive Director of Democracy International and U.S. Coordinator on the Committee on Eastern Europe and Russia in NATO, and columnist for the National Review. Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Steve.
Great to talk to you. Your reaction to what we believe to be another beheading, this time of I guess by now he'd be 32-year-old Steven Sotloff.
Well, aside from the human reaction, strategically, they're not going to let us forget them. We would like to just put it at the back of our minds. This came into our minds so suddenly. We'd love to put it out of our minds. It's not going to go away. It's going to keep getting worse until something is done to put it away.
I mean, is the administration going to continue to be able, and you wrote a great piece, How Obama Caused ISIS, in the National Review, and I want to talk about all that, but this relates to that. Is the administration, the State Department, going to continue to be able to say, after now the second video directed, with words directed at our president in a really an unprecedented fashion, that ISIS is not at war with us, we're not at war with them? Is the president going to be able to continue to say it's basically a regional problem? The people of the area have to step up. They have to be more inclusive in their parliament. I mean, is there going to be a tipping point here where this nonsense ends as far as the rhetoric coming from our administration?
There will be a tipping point, but I'm far from ready to guarantee that it's there yet. The administration is committed to the wrong line, and it takes time to force an administration out of its commitments. The mass media are not doing the job to force it. When the Bush administration screwed up in Iraq, and it sure as heck did screw up, it had the benefit of the hatred of the mass media, which eventually forced it to correct its mistake, and it did that with the surge. Obama has the very sad benefit of being supported mindlessly by the bulk of the mass media, and he is very, very slow to recognize his mistakes.
So I don't even know what to call them. Your piece is great, but let's start at the end here and the most recent. The president on Thursday told the world, including ISIS, that we have no strategy on ISIS. We now know today that his daily briefings have included ISIS updates. We know that there have been hearings for years in the Congress on ISIS. This is not a new revelation. This is not a new entity that has come into existence in the past few days. We didn't have a strategy on Thursday. Apparently, neither did David Cameron of Great Britain. Yet, by the end of the weekend, he had had a press conference and addressed his parliament, and he now has a strategy, at least when it comes to protecting the homeland, his homeland. Our president on Monday was off talking about Labor Day and trashing Republicans and anybody who makes money, and John Kerry was windsurfing in Nantucket, and they've done nothing to put forth a strategy since Thursday.
Right. Cameron did the right thing in the sense of putting forward an urgent action strategy for defense of his homeland. And that we should be ready with on an urgent action basis. Regarding the strategy in the Middle East, it does take time, but not too long. And we should not be saying we don't have a strategy. Of course, it's true that we don't have a sufficient strategy, but we do have a strategy. It's just the wrong one. The strategy is containment and waiting for the people of the region to step up. Well, the existing strategy to wait for the Iraqi parliament to step up, form an inclusive government, has already gone as far as it will, which is halfway. That was guaranteed. We need to move toward a more genuinely inclusive government there, which means pushing aside some of the democracy and getting an intercommunal government in place rather than a Shia-led government. That will require a total change of rhetoric, and this administration is not ready for it. The last one didn't do it either, I should add. I'm not making this a purely partisan matter. The previous administration screwed up a lot. This one's done it worse, and it needs to take responsibility. Further strategy in the region, we have to stop aiming at containment and stalemate. That's the fundamental wrong strategy. In Syria, for about a year, our official goal has been stalemate. This couldn't be worse, to have a civil war drag on in the belief that stalemate is going to bring peace. We see what it's brought instead, a much, much, much worse nightmare. This goal has then been exported into Iraq by Mr. Kerry and Mr. Obama, that our goal there is simply to contain ISIS until things dissolve domestically in our favor. Well, things are dissolving against our favor, not in our favor. The only good thing is that we have started arming the Kurds to fight.
You know, when this president claims, as he did a few weeks ago, or when, you know, maybe almost now a month ago, when he gave his first press conference acknowledging ISIS and what we were going to do, I guess, talking about the airstrikes, basically it was, you know, this is all new to me, and, you know, I found out about it the same way you did, and, of course, nothing could be further from the truth. And it's our policy in Syria, our policy that was in effect for years now, has been in effect for years now, under Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Of course, Obama is the president and commander-in-chief, that, as you know, and you write so eloquently in your piece, has bred ISIS and has led to the expansion of ISIS to where they are right now.
Indeed it is, and that's only the direct causes. There were other roots in Iraq, but the complete withdrawal of American forces from Iraq led things to go worse in Iraq. Meanwhile, in Syria, we encouraged the uprising, but we didn't encourage it to win, and we failed to do the obvious things to enable it to win. Naturally, it went from bad to worse. The people in that region who like to fight are not the nice liberal democratic intellectuals, and I'm using liberal democratic with small l, small d, you understand. Those are the people who start up Arab Springs, but they're not the people who inherit them if it comes to fighting. We've let it drag on for 3 years, and finally, under Kerry, it became our official policy that we wanted to be a stalemate, because that supposedly will lead to negotiations for peace. De facto, we've been doing that for 3 years. De jure, for about a year now. It couldn't be worse.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Okay, so the president has already said when they do develop a strategy, again, I guess for going after ISIS abroad, I don't know when he plans on developing a strategy like Cameron has had for you know, put in place, talking about protecting the homeland, but he's going to then go to Congress, and there's going to be a brisk, you know, a robust debate on the floor of the House and the Senate. This, if he actually ever comes up with a strategy, could take months, certainly weeks. And then who the heck knows if he's looking for Congress to vote and pass it, who the heck knows if they even will. So we're nowhere near striking at ISIS the way we need to strike at ISIS to demolish it, correct?
That is correct, as long as the administration wants it to be that way. It's able to get authority from Congress if it wants to. It's able to act without authority from Congress if it wants to. If it wants to go to Congress as an excuse for inaction, it showed in Syria it was able to do that too.
Well, it's going to be very nerve-wracking watching this president, who's in way over his head, in my opinion. You know, we didn't even touch on Putin and the thousands of troops in Ukraine. That's for another time, Doctor. Thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it, sir.
I appreciate it greatly. Good luck in your work.
Thank you, Dr. Ira Straus, ladies and gentlemen. And it's very, look, what could be said that hasn't been said already? Look at this guy. What's he doing today? Is he coming up with a strategy today? Because I'll never stop saying it. Yesterday, he was trashing Republicans. Yesterday, he was playing the victim. Yesterday, he was demagoguing economic issues and berating anybody who has success in this country. That's what he was doing instead of coming up with a strategy, while his Secretary of State was windsurfing in Nantucket. What the heck was that? But that's what it is. That's what it is. So what's he going to do today? What's he going to do? Come to the podium and mourn the loss? Mourn the loss of the U.S. journalist Stephen Sotloff? And then go play golf? What's he going to do today? How's he going to respond? Give me 5 is next.